What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my video. Today I'm gonna continue working on the 2J. I pretty much got it done. It came out pretty nice. It came out pretty good for what I needed for. So I'm gonna show you guys all the process on putting the motor together. I took it to the machine shop, I got it back. I bolted some of the parts on just to see how they look. They're not completely bolted on. I'm about ready to start working on the mounts. I gotta clean the engine bay first. But let me show you guys what I had to do to put the motor together. Okay, so I'm ready to take these to the machine shop. This is the crank and the block. I'm just gonna drop them off, get this polished. And this one, hopefully I'm able to keep it with the same diameter. If not, I'm gonna have to bore it out. But I mean, they do look kind of rusted, so I mean, I'll do whatever I have to do. So I'm just gonna go drop them off and pick up the head. The head is ready. So I'm gonna bring the head and just wait on the block. Okay, so I finally got the block back. Here it is. I also got my 2J. This one's a GTE block. This one's the NA that is going in the truck. So I'm gonna unload it right now. I'm gonna unload it and get it ready. I still gotta order an oil pump. I don't have an oil pump. I'm gonna go with a GTE oil pump on this one. And I also gotta get an oil pump for this one, but let me unload it, and I'm gonna try to put it on the stand and get it ready to start putting it all together. Okay, so I had to leave the motor here for a while because I didn't have any engine stands open, but I already have one available. So I'm gonna install the rear main first before I put it on the stand, and then I'm gonna grab the rest of the parts so I can put it together. It's a GE, but I got a GTE oil pump. I'm not gonna modify the pump, I'm gonna leave it the way it is. Usually people like to grind it and polish it so there's more flow, but I don't plan on making like 800 horsepower on this motor. You know, if I make 400, I'll be happy, because it's gonna go to a truck, so I don't want more than that. So I'm gonna get everything ready, and I'm gonna bring the rest of the parts over here. And I'll show you guys right now how to put it together. Okay guys, so I want to show you some of the parts that I'm going to be using to put this together. I'm going to start with the rods. I'm going to be using Manley rods and CP pistons. As you can see, they're already installed on the motor. I'm going to have to use a rear sump because the truck that I'm going to install this on, the cross member doesn't allow you to use a front sump. So I'm going to use the rear sump. These right here are some of the parts. They're from the motor. I already cleaned them up. I just gotta paint them, but they're pretty much ready to go. Right here, I have the rear main bracket, and this is the rear main seal. So I'm gonna put those together and install them right now. This is the front seal. These are the two cam seals, and this is for the BBTI. I'm gonna be putting this gasket and O-ring on the BBTI gear so it doesn't leak any oil. Now the head, this is the head. All I did was just a complete head job, which includes the seals, resurface, and the valves. They just service the valves, make sure it has all three angles. I'm gonna go with a 62 turbo from Drift Motion. I used them in the past and they work pretty good, so I've never had a problem with them. This is the harness. It's from a GTE, but I'm gonna modify it to work on the GE. This is the oil pump. It's from a GTE. I'm gonna be using a GTE oil pump. I got these Gates timing belt. This is the first time I'm gonna be using it, so I wanna see how good it is. Over here, this right here, this is the short shifter I'm gonna install on the truck. I got a gauge to see how much boost I'm gonna be pushing. I'm gonna use ARP studs. They're pretty good. I've never had a problem with them, so I'm gonna use those. This is something else. I want to have a push start on the truck, so I'm gonna install these. This is something extra. I got this Bosch fuel pump. I've used it in the past. It works pretty good with E85 and pump gas. It's a 300 liter per hour, but it's enough for what I'm doing. This is a AN fuel pressure regulator, so I'm gonna be using that. This right here is a fuse box. So I got an eBay fuse box to power up the fuel pump, the injectors, accessories, coils. So that's gonna be a nice fuse box. Okay, the intake, I'm gonna be using half of the intake from the original GE motor, and the other half is just like an eBay intake. I still need to get the throttle body. I already ordered the manifold for the turbo. I'm waiting on that, and also on the throttle body for the intake. But as soon as I get it, I should be okay. I don't really need it right away because I'm just gonna put the motor together. These are just the covers, and I'm gonna be using this Felpro valve cover gasket. I need to get the grommets, and I'm gonna go with the Tomei head gasket. So I always use Tomei. I like Tomei. I'm gonna replace the whole water pump and housing assembly. So I mean, I got this one, and this right here, this is just some of the sensors and some of the parts that I cleaned, but I'm not gonna be using these coils, so I'm gonna replace those coils. So let me go ahead and put the rear main seal on the engine, and then I'm gonna put it on the engine stand. Okay, so I already installed the rear main. Now I'm gonna put it on the engine stand, and I'm gonna start assembling the motor. Okay, so I'm ready to start assembling the motor. I already installed the rear main seal, so that one's done. I'm gonna start with the head. I'm gonna be using the Tomei head gasket, but before I install it, I'm gonna spray some copper. This stuff works really good, so I'm gonna be spraying some of this stuff. I'm gonna use the GTE oil pump. The gear inside is bigger, so it creates more pressure, more flow. And I'm also gonna install the water pump. It's the whole housing, so I'm gonna be installing that, and the timing belt. Once I'm finished with this, I'm gonna go ahead and install the rear sump, the intake, and the exhaust manifold. I'm still waiting for the exhaust manifold, but once I get it, I'll install it. And I'm also waiting for the throttle body, but I should get them anytime soon. So I'm gonna go ahead and start assembling this motor. Okay, so this is the original, and this is the one I'm gonna be using. You guys can see the difference in thickness. So this is a lot thicker. I machined the top of the block, so that's why I'm gonna be using a thicker head gasket to compensate for the block. But I mean, regardless, I like using these Tomei head gaskets. So let me go ahead, spray it, and then I'll be installing it. Okay, so I got the head ready. I'm gonna be installing it right now. Let me get the gasket. Like I said, I spray it with copper. Okay, so when you install this, you gotta be careful because it has this right here is for the oil, and it goes with this right here. So you gotta make sure that you install it the right way, because if you don't, you're not gonna get any oil going through there, and that's gonna suck. You gotta make sure it goes evenly. All right, so there it is. I didn't spray this because I wanted to keep the Tomei on the head gasket. So now I'm gonna install the head. I already cleaned it up, so I'm gonna be installing that right now. And there it is. Let me bolt it down and torque it down, and I'll show you the rest of the process. Okay, I'm done installing the head. I already installed the cams, and I'm gonna go ahead and install right now the water pump and the oil pump. I already put the seals as well, the cam seals. So if you guys ever do this, make sure you guys put silicone on the caps or else it's gonna leak oil. But it's pretty much done. I just gotta install the pump, the water and the oil pump and timing belt, and I'm pretty much done with it. All right guys, so I'm done putting the water pump on and the oil pump. I also installed the seal. The valve covers, I just put them on so nothing goes in there, but they're not bolted on. I gotta take them off and paint them. The intake, I still gotta weld it, so that one's gonna come off as well. I'm waiting for the throttle body and fuel rail and injectors. But for now, I'm gonna finish putting everything together. I'm gonna also install the rear sump. And once I finish doing that, I'll show you guys the progress. Now I'm gonna get this pulley ready. I'm gonna replace the O-ring and the gasket. Usually if you don't do that, sometimes when they have a lot of miles, they'll start leaking oil. And many people think it's the cam seals or the front crankshaft seal, but most of the time it's this gear. So I'm gonna open it up and replace this O-ring and gasket and close it back on, and I'm gonna be installing it on the motor. Okay, so I already opened it up. This is all you have to replace. The O-ring that goes in there, you just gotta take it off, clean this up a little bit. Put some oil, don't clean it and leave it dry because this works with oil. So I would put oil, some kind of lube before putting it back together. And this is the other gasket we're gonna replace. So I'm gonna clean this up, lube it, and put it back together. I'm waiting for a couple of parts, but I'm gonna continue on the rear sump. But as soon as I get the rest of the parts, like the cam pulley and the tensioner, I want to replace the tensioner, then I'll finish it up. But for now, let me move on to the rear sump. Okay, so I'm done bolting on the rear sump. That one's ready to go. I also polished the valve covers because I couldn't find a color that I like to paint them, so I just polished them. I'm gonna use these fittings for the oil catch can. This one has thread. That one you just press in, but this one has thread, so I gotta either make it smooth and so I can press the other side in, or I could just buy another fitting and then just bolt it on. I'm still undecided on that. I also installed the tensioner, the timing belt. I got this adjustable pulley. I'm not gonna mess with it. I already set the timing, everything's ready to go. I also installed a harmonic balancer, and I welded the intake manifold already. This is how it came out. I took it to my friend because he's a pretty good welder, and for this kind of stuff, I mean, this is cast. You need to have a lot of practice and a lot of experience, and honestly, I wanted this intake manifold to look nice. I bought another one that it's not as nice as this one. Let me go ahead and show you guys what I mean. Okay, so this is how the other manifold looks. I bought it the way it is, but you guys can see the difference in the welds. So when you don't have much experience, I mean, I could still use this and it'll work, but I mean, just the way it looks, you know, like the other one looks a lot nicer. When people have experience, I mean, you can see the difference. Okay, so I got most of the parts that I needed to check for clearances and to see if everything's gonna fit properly. So I'm gonna bolt on the exhaust manifold, the intake manifold, the turbo, and I also got a clear cover for it. I'm gonna put it on and see how it looks. If everything looks good, then I'm gonna prep the truck. I'm gonna put it on this lift, and I'm gonna start pulling out the motor, the original, so I can start doing the mounts on this one. Okay, so now that I'm done with the motor, I'm gonna get the truck ready. So this is actually the truck I'm gonna drop the 2-year in. It's a 89 Toyota pickup. It's a dually. It's a work truck, but we wanna make a little bit more power. Something reliable with a lot of power. Like I said, I'm only looking for like around 400. It should be a fun dually with 400 horsepower. And I could always put more power if I want to. The motors should be capable of at least 800. The truck is a little bit dirty because it's been sitting outside, but it still has the original motor. It's still running. So it still has the 22R. I'm gonna remove everything from the engine bay, and I'm gonna spray the engine bay because I want to make it look nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and move those cars out of the lift. I'm gonna get the truck ready, but that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm also getting another 2J ready for this truck, so you guys will see a 2J on this Nissan as well. I just gotta take it apart. Let me show you guys real quick. So I got one 2J sitting right here, and I got two more back here. I'm probably gonna use one of those two motors. I also got a set of GT pistons in here. All I gotta do is take them to the machine shop so they can clean them up. I'm gonna replace the rings, and I'm gonna put new bearings, and I should be ready to put it all together. Like I said, that's gonna be it, and thank you guys for watching.